What was the incident in your high school? When I was in high school, our Hicktown school had a gang called the Cobras who would spray paint cobras on school property, write it on desks, in the bathrooms, basically everywhere. It was dumb and many of the students had a good idea who was a part of this gang, but the teachers didn't. The principal would call down groups for photos in the yearbook, siblings, sports teams, drama club, etc. on overhead announcements. And one day they called down the Cobras for a school photo for the yearbook. To try and figure out who they were, they caught almost half the students who were defacing school property because they showed up for the group photo. Gym cooling system overheated and caught on fire during the homecoming parade. That and state police had to show up 2 years ago after an increase of freshman fights in the cafeteria. It got to the point to where there were some rumors that school security had to use a taser on one of the kids after a fight. To subdue the rumor was complete BS, and our football team had to cancel a home game and concede the game over potential threats. It was a crappy junior year 2017-2018. Someone found a gun on campus and like 3 or 4 posts on social media about shooting up the school. One of them actually caused a lockdown during class because the student was across the street from the school with the gun. According to someone who supposedly got on the police radio frequency, they never revealed the whole story to try to reduce rumors from spreading, which just lead to more rumors. It was pretty funny. We had a teacher who was super nice. She was out for 3 days and we didn't question it much until she wasn't there again for the next week. Turns out her husband murdered her quite brutally. Was so quiet the next few months for that class we didn't really know how to process it. Has in prison and kids with the grandparents last I read. Quite sad. During one of the semi-formal dances of the year, not prom, some school official thought it would be a great idea to screen the underwear choices of the girls attending. For morality purposes, because thongs were of the devil. Their great plan for implementation was to literally pull girls aside from the ticket line and just lift up their skirts. Right there. No curtain. No other room. Nothing. Just right in front of the gym doors. While everybody else was in line. Able to see. This was a Nighttimes quote, said one parent called her to report that a teacher had pulled a girl's top to see if she was wearing a bra. The baseball team gained notoriety after raping freshman entrants to their team with a broomstick during hazing. And then there was the law. Why can't seniors leave campus for lunch? Seniors with cars used to be able to leave to get fast food. This was discontinued because some jackasses went to the local daycare center up the hill like a 15-minute walk away and started flashing their genitals at the children. Came to post that the senior football captain impregnated the senior head cheerleader my freshman year. Then read everyone else's posts. Jesus Christ. People. Kid punched a school cop. He pepper sprayed the entire hallway of kids including me going to class. Tons of people ended up going to the hospital. Missed my class though, lol. Every year somebody died. Freshman A senior drowned in a lake. Sophomore another guy drowned. Junior A girl got ejected from her friend's car. Senior A girl got stabbed like 18 times with a gardening tool. Literally like a day after that girl got ejected from her car, these two guys got caught sucking each other off in the bathroom. My high school had a decade themed talent show every year. They would do it in our auditorium, which had an orchestra pit underneath part of the stage. Close to the end of the show a lot of people went out on the stage and started dancing, and the stage collapsed. Only a couple people were hurt, but one of my friends broke his pelvis and had to be in a wheelchair for a while. It must been a slow day for the news because it made all the way to the BBC. In my primary school someone had spread shit around the bathroom which they then blamed on me. Word got around, and it was known by teachers and students that I had spread shit around the bathroom. Even though I was in class, my teacher denied that though. I left that school rather soon after the shit spreading incident. Someone took a massive shit in the boys' bathroom. Like huge. Like so big that there is still a debate about whether or not the shit was actually human, or if it was smuggled in somehow. So notable that everyone from my consumer ec class got up individually to go to the bathroom and drop their jaw in awe at the absolute spectacle that was this shit. Multiple jokes were made about it at school events, and to this day no one knows who did the poop. This wasn't in my high school, but back in middle school someone got taken to court for bringing vodka to school in water bottles and then selling it to other students 7th grade. There was also the crazy British kid who got suspended after saying he'd shoot up the school, also 7th grade. He apparently came back to the school a few months later, but I never met him. On the topic of violence, we also had several anonymous bomb threats left in the Spanish classroom throughout my 8th grade year. Some unknown guy killed a prof in his office and apparently hid out in the drywall space in the medical school building for a few days. The police ended up having to clear out that building like it's a war zone, and they never caught the killer. They think it was either 1. a crazy student, 2. a bit of office politics that gone murderous as the professor was just about to get the plum gig in the department, 3. an escaped crazy person from the local mental hospital which was for some reason on the grounds of the university right behind the physics building, 4. some combination thereof. Someone I knew tried to call in a bomb threat from a payphone during finals week. This was in the 90s and nobody took him seriously, and the school found out who it was and suspended him for like a couple days. I'd imagine now the school would go on lockdown, or just close and not let any students in. Since he did it early in the morning, the kid would probably end up getting arrested by a SWAT team with a bomb squad nearby, cost the city a fortune, get jailed, or at least expelled, and their life would be ruined. I answered this question a while back, so I'll just copy it here. Had a teacher get involved with several girls in high school. He pretty much had one on each grade. At first it was just rumors. It then shit hit the fan and the principal confirmed what was going on when the guy was fired. He was married and had a small child and was leaving his family for a 15-year girl. Months after he got fired, the girl went missing, and she was found dead several days later with signs of violence. A day later his body was found in another city about 150 miles away. Someone put a knife through his neck. No one ever knew what really happened, but theories are abundant. I was a teacher and a very good kid just got pushed to his limit by a bully teacher. Had been bullied by this guy for a couple of years, never did find out what was up with that. So bully teacher says something to the kid. He runs out to his car, grabs a crowbar, and comes in smashing all the glass he encountered. It was safety glass, but lots of shards anyway. Tries to go after the teacher to kill him. He got trapped in the library. The classroom was located in a small classroom off the library, and I was right next door, keeping kids in their seats and unable to go to the bathroom for about 90 minutes. Cops began arriving from all directions, since we were right off 2 state highways. State cops, K9 cops, etc. Kid destroyed all the beautiful 1940s oak shelving, teacher's desk, anything that would break. His mom shows up and disarms him. Kid gets slammed on a stretcher and hauled off to the nearby AFB, where his dad worked. Not sure exactly what all happened there, but he got a lifetime ban from being at the high school and a serious restraining order from ever contacting or being near the bully teacher. I liked the kid, never had once tiny bit of trouble with him. Saw him a couple of months later and asked him to please tell me if he was ever mad at me. He laughed. Kid was diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder. Went on to be a good adult. He just kind of lost it that day. A teacher in my high school walked into the unisex bathroom because someone reported that 2 kids went into it together. He walked in, found nobody in there, and as he walked out the 2 kids fell from the ceiling completely naked and onto the floor in front of him. The admin at my school used to drive around campus on golf carts for whatever reason. One day a kid jacked one and accidentally ran over another kid. No more golf cars after that. Principal found weed in the boys' bathroom, called an assembly, and told us we had to vote for who we think it was. I think the principal's son got like 98% of the votes. Suddenly the voting system wasn't valid. We didn't even coordinate it. Everyone had the same idea at once, and it was glorious. was elementary school in a major city. Our classroom was one of several temporary structures. Beside the actual school, some homeless dude bursts in with a fish in his mouth. Everyone was speechless and quickly scattered away from him. Teacher somehow got him out of the class. Wild. Another time. Same class. During class one morning we hear some noises from a student's desk. Teacher asks her to open it. She opens it, and it's a fucking pigeon. In a bag. The biggest question was how she got the pigeon in the bag. Just casually kidnapped one on the way to school one morning. During lunch if you picked up trash and turned it into the yard attendant you would get a dime per piece. One kid did it religiously, every lunch, and was tormented and bullied the whole time. Kids would knock the trash out of his hands, push him over when he picked it up, call him all sorts of names. They were relentless. Then in junior year, he bought a '66 Mustang. Not an incident really, but I still have respect for that kid. Banana Man. Literally a guy ran across the field during the middle of the homecoming football game in a banana suit. The fallout, and I'm not making a word of this shit up, was a zero tolerance policy for talking about the event. Bananas themselves. And literally the entire duck in color yellow. It was the most glorious cluster duck I have ever witnessed. Kid in the year above decided, mid-ike lesson, that he needed to drop the kids off. Teacher wouldn't let him go, so he decided to move to the back of the classroom and proceeded to shit in an empty Pringles can. After dropping the log he went round offering out Pringles to people. One kid stuck his hand in blind and got a handful of shit. The kid was unsurprisingly pissed off and threw the handful of shit at the kid who had the can. There was a whole fight and shit was thrown over the whole room. It all had to be industrially cleaned, and even after that it still stank in there. It was grim. During my senior year, a girl in my class disappeared from the variety store she worked at and was presumed to have been abducted. Her coat and purse were gone, but cash only she knew about was still at the store. This was in 1982. She's never been found. Oh, I have a few. A girl scratched a guy's face so hard he got a scar that runs from his forehead to his cheekbone, passing through the eye, almost blinding him, because she felt like kicking his ass. A kid was caught smoking weed on the bathroom several times because his mother found out he smoked and prohibited him of leaving school during class hours, so he couldn't come out and smoke. One Monday we arrived at the school to find a huge puddle of puke on the floor of the main hall. The Students' Association threw a party the night before, and nobody cleaned it, because they were all either drunk or stoned. After that, no more parties could be hosted at school. They were all hosted at event pavilions outside of school grounds. A really weird teacher was caught watching P right now. His students turned the projector on in the middle of a test to mess with him and found out. One of our history teachers tried to put in a video about economics on to watch. All of a sudden all that showed up was two guys wrestling at our school gym where no one usually records. He isn't even the coach or anything. He then went on to say, "Oh, that's Dr. King's video," trying to cover up the fact he had a video of two male wrestlers sitting on his desk for no reason. And no, Dr. King was not happy about being falsely accused. Kid 1 challenged Kid 2 to a fight after school in the parking lot. Kid 1 was waiting and talking smack and attracted a large crowd. Kid 2 shows up with his hand behind his back and enters the arena. Kid 2 reveals a chair leg, clubs Kid 1 in the dome, and puts him down. Kid 2 escapes in his car. Police grab him a short while later and spends the night in jail on assault. Kid 1 goes to hospital, gets stitches. A girl made a video of her shoving hot dogs up her bum. Made its way to the internet. There was a crazy old lady that lived by the school. She used to come outside and yell at students when school let out. Consequently, the students started to intentionally provoke her because they thought it was funny, and one day, she got a gun and shot one of them. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.